Just like Trano, I too never sleep. That was a horrible intro, but a very tired Vinny is here. And I've decided, after all the time I've been streaming, to finally do the music Q&A. Just talking about bands and taking questions, and if you want to talk a little bit about Red Vox, we can do that. Just don't ask me what the songs mean, and we'll be golden. How's everyone doing? Thank you for joining me in the Scumspace. This is exclusive content that will later be on Full Sauce, I'd imagine. And I have a bonus Joker movie review, spoiler free. But yeah, it's the first Scum in a while, and the new and improved Scum. The new Scumspace! Thank you, Norix, for getting this all up and running. It's pretty great. And hope everyone is well. You guys are much appreciated for joining me tonight. I didn't want to do this on the main channel because I figured not everyone's gonna get it. Not everyone's gonna care about the music stuff. So why not just do a little private Scumspace stream from my I don't know, the people that found the tweet. It was up for like 5 minutes at most. So why don't we do this? Yeah, as I've been saying, if you want to talk music, I don't really have any Red Vox news or, you know, new songs or anything. I mean, I do, but I can't reveal it right now. I'm sorry. I have our new single just waiting to go, but I can't play that for you just yet. I'm sorry. You know, it's not that I'm trying to like jape. It's more that I want to get it right and make sure it's like in the best possible form, and make sure it's good to go. So, all right, we can begin. I'll tell you what, get your music questions ready. Don't ask them yet. I just want to start by saying the Joker movie, the new Joker was pretty damn good. I can see why people would have problems with it. It's not a it's not a 10 out of 10 movie. It was definitely, I saw it after Comic-Con. I just went. I was like, fuck it, I want to see this thing tonight. And yes, there were police guarding movie theaters. That was real. But I liked a lot of scenes, and it felt jokery. Barring anything society related that will be in some way controversial, just the movie itself was well crafted. The performance was fucking amazing. I do not like the Joker, but you can empathize when you watch the movie. You can say like, "Oh fuck, that sucks. That sucks. That sucks." It's a character study, and in some ways, for me, I guess it led to I had to think about it. I'm going to be thinking about it a lot. It's thought-provoking and challenging, and also maybe kind of, there's a scene early on with Murray that I was like, oh, that kind of could relate to me. That's weird. That's scary. That's one. And two, it also made me think maybe we need to show people more compassion. But you could also kind of work as a comic book movie on some level, but not really. It almost leads up to the beginning of Batman. So, whatever. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. I thought it was thoroughly entertaining and thought-provoking. So that's my Joker movie review. All right. Now, Comic-Con was good. I'll have stories soon, but we're not going to do stories just yet because I'm going to wait. I have footage, and it was fun. It's tiring. I'm a little tired, but it was fun. I had a great time, and I feel good. So I'm happy about that. Vinny, what's your opinion on the Wall review by Nostalgia Critic? Okay, so I saw some of it. I had to turn it off because it was really painful. That was a tough thing to watch and listen to, and I don't know why he's so mad at the Wall. It came out in 1980. I don't know what it did to him. I get that he may have critiques of it. Pink Floyd can be a polarizing band, and The Wall is a tough album if you're not really into them. And yeah, there's a lot of complaining. Roger Waters lost his dad in a war in World War II, and he went through some pretty psychologically fucked up things, like the success of Pink Floyd, which you wouldn't think would turn into a psychologically fucked up thing, but it did. And he wrote about it, and his childhood and other stuff he's seen from other people, like Sid Barrett going crazy. I hate to just distill it to that, but that's what happened. Took too much acid, and the poor guy couldn't fucking function anymore. So Roger wrote about himself, his dad, his friend, and I think it's a great album, one of my favorites of all time. And seeing such a lame cover of it and a critique of it was like, I just couldn't make it through it. And I did watch Fantano's review of it. I go through my periods of I watch Fantano, I don't watch Fantano. I watch him, I don't watch him. I don't agree with a lot of his stuff, but I do like hearing him. I like the counter views it may provide me. And he had a really interesting point about The Wall by Nostalgia Critic. I think he called it shit. So I like that. That was an interesting point. Yeah, but once again, I'll be taking some music questions. If you want to talk about Red Vox, that's great. I could do that, but no, don't ask me what the songs mean. I won't do that. Vinny, I was wondering your least favorite Bowie album. Let's see. Let me go through. Bowie's discography is vast, and I still haven't heard all of it. But I think at this point I've gotten most of it. And I'll tell you what album I hate the most is probably Never Let Me Down or Black Tie White Noise. The 87 album followed by the 1993 album. I cannot get into those albums. Just can't. They did a remix of Never Let Me Down that's a lot better, but the original version's terrible. Tonight at least has Gene Genie on it. Sorry, Blue Jean and Loving the Alien. And then you get to 90s Bowie and it gets better. You get to Earth Outside and Earthling, it's a lot better. But yeah, the best Bowie is still Low and Station to Station, Man Who Sold the World, Hunky Dory, Ziggy, etc. So, also, thank you everybody that's just joining in. Welcome to the stream. It's nice to have you here with me tonight. Question about the new Tool album. Now that it's out, what did you think of it? I don't fully understand it. I think Tool is a band that I have to listen to multiple times. I'm not as into their music as I used to be. I listened to the whole thing once through and some of it twice. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And I loved Adam's solos. Danny Carey's drums are always amazing. Like, I really respect the fuck out of these guys. Maynard's voice sounds amazing, too. They all sound great, but I didn't really fully put myself in there yet. Maybe one day I will. It took me a long fucking time to get into Lateralis. So, do you have any electronic music tastes, like EDM? Well, it doesn't have to be EDM. Not that I can think of electronic music. I love what I love what MGMT does. I love what Gorillaz do. I love the sound of synthesizers, and some of the dancier stuff is cool. I don't really love EDM. It doesn't really do a lot for me, but I like the sounds that it makes. And you'll see on the next Red Vox, there's some stuff that's a little bit more electronic sounding. And so you'll see my influences in there, but you'll see it's not anything too close to EDM, I don't think. Vinny, I like your more instrumental songs. It feels like ambient music or background music for a game. The beginning of Cemetery Windows, a part I keep coming back to. Do you have any further down the road? Like more instrumental? The next Red Vox is going to have... all the songs have vocals, but there will be instrumental breaks. Some more than others. Some of the lyrics and vocals are more sparse than in the past, except for Kerosene. I'll tell you what. Here's what I can tell you. There will be one acoustic song that's purely acoustic, with more stuff. Like it's none of it sounds like Kerosene, but there's one that is specifically quiet, another that's also kind of quiet, and then the rest is more like Another Light and some new shit. And there's a couple really weird songs, a couple with like dancey kind of shit going on. So you'll see it's real, it's different, but also I think you'll be I think you'll like it. What's the Red Fox song you think could have been the most improved? Do you like the least? So anything from the first album was dodgy because some of it was old material, some of it's new, some of it, well, I say new, but written at the time. And I think the mixing wasn't quite there. So yeah, I think a lot of the first album could be improved for sure, including the songwriting. But I still like it. I still like that album. Just not all of it. Okay, I'm gonna just scroll around. Going to try to stop saying I find myself defaulting to Vinny, I've been on a Hendrix kick. Are you a big fan of him? I think he's great, yeah. Bold as Love. Are you experienced? I don't really like Tin Machine. Someone said, what do you think of Bowie's foray into Tin Machine? I'm not really crazy about Tin Machine. Let me do a couple questions I get all the way every day. I get these questions a lot on my streams, and maybe you have been someone that asked one of these questions, but like, what album is your favorite of this band, of this band, of this band? So yesterday I got the idea to do this music stream soon, or sooner rather than later, because people were really interested in my favorite albums from certain bands. So Queen, Night at the Opera, or News of the World, both of those are great. Pink Floyd, it's either Animals or maybe The Wall or Wish You Were Here. I can't choose, but Animals is usually my default. The Beatles, White Album, Revolver, those are my two go-tos, but lately Abbey Road, because of the remix, I've been going mental for it. So David Bowie's Low, Station to Station, Nirvana, In Utero. This is just questions I got recently. Tame Impala, Lonerism, The Police, the second or third album, Zenyatta Mandata or Regata de Blanc. I can't believe I'm saying these words, but that's them. The Cars would probably be Candy O or their first record. You can't really beat the first record. King Gizzard is probably still flying Microtonal Banana because it was my first one. You know, so why don't I take a couple, what other band, I don't know Coheed and Cambria. Blur, I think Blur, my favorite album is 13 or Park Life. Gorillaz, my favorite album is still Demon Days, but I fucking love Plastic Beach. Mars Volta, Francis the Mute. Steely Dan, I don't know that well, sorry. I know their songs like individually, but I don't go album by album. Pond is still The Weather. What's the ELO I'm not crazy about like I should be, but my favorite ELO album is, give me a second, Out of the Blue. The Clash, give me a second here. The easy answer is London Calling, but I also like Combat Rock because it's got Straight to Hell on it. Actually, I don't really like that album that much, never mind. Sandinista's good. It's got Magnificent Seven. Yeah, it's London Calling. David Byrne, my favorite solo album of his is probably Look Into the Eyeball. Neil Young, it's Harvest, but I also like On a Beach. Okay. Any metal bands? I mean, not album by album. I can listen to it, but not really. I mean, that wasn't my thing. No one introduced it to me, and no one around me really listened to it, and it wasn't really something that I connected with. However, if you played metal for me and it was good metal, I would be very happy. My favorite Radiohead album is In Rainbows, but also I can't deny OK Computer. I just can't. Black Keys, El Camino. Django Django, their first record. Okay, Vinny, being in your position, having an already established fan base to immediately hop onto your music once you released it, do you think you'd be making your music with the same passion if you had to work from the ground up solely on your music like most independent artists? Good question. I did do, if you go through my Bandcamp, you'll find music from a while back. And the truth is, I had every intention of making music then as I do now. Resources were the problem. We recorded that first Davies Gray album in like 3 weeks, and it was only 7 songs, and there's a lot of stuff I would change about that album, but it was so quick. We just had to go in, do the songs, and that's it, really. I mean, it was, and I paid, a lot for that, but not as much as what I'm paying now. And, the thing about it was 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and again, resources and time, work made it difficult to do music. It's got to be fucking hard for an independent artist, because even Redvox gets expensive. I still have not made any with Redvox. I've not made any money. I haven't. I've made, money, but the amount I spend on studio, on producing the merch, on producing records, which are really expensive. Music doesn't sell all that well. We're doing fine. I'm doing fine. I have money. I'm okay with doing what I have to do. But for someone who's just working a 40-hour week, and then they can't really afford to record a full album, that shit's got to be hard. And it was difficult enough for me to the point where I didn't do music for 5 years. I'm a very lucky person now. I worked hard at Vinesauce. I worked hard at music, but I also am a very lucky person, and I'm very, very aware of how grateful I should be for all this, and I am. But it was tough because those 5 years in between, like maybe 5 or 6 years in between Davies Gray and Redvox, I did just a little bit on my own at home. Sibilance, it's an album I put out where it was just like, video game type music and Fruity Loops. I had written some songs, some of which ended up on the Redvox records, but those 5 years, it was like, well, I'm working and I don't make enough money to really get into a studio, nor do I have the time or the passion to do what I need to do. So the answer, which is long-winded, and I'd say that it's really not an easy answer, is I don't know if I would have the same passion. It's not about, if I had a quarter of the fan base I have now for Redvox, I'd still want to make music, because I need, it's therapy. It's helpful and it's good, and I like doing it. It gives me a sense of purpose. So let's keep going. Vinny, what is this question? Queens of the Stone Age. My favorite Queens of the Stone Age album is Songs for the Deaf, tied with Like Clockwork. I know these are lame answers. Dude, do you even like mushrooms? I love mushrooms, but I will tell you not to do them, because I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, because the internet, but yeah, I have had 10 years ago or more, I've had 2 mushroom experiences, one of which was bad, one of which was good. The bad one put me off so much to mushrooms that I don't think I'll do them again. However, I did microdose mushrooms sometime last year. Yes, I did, because a friend of mine was going through a depression, and guess what? So was I. You heard the album, Kerosene. It's all there, and so I did the microdosing, and the first couple times was great, and I was like, oh, I noticed this, but then, like a dummy, I did 1 microdose before bed, and I could not sleep for 4 hours. So I picked up a guitar, and I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get to bed, so I figured, well, let me play some music. Let's just see what would happen, because I wasn't tripping, and it wasn't anywhere near as bad as it was that time 10 years ago, but it was still uncomfortable. I'm hearing like these auditory hallucinations. I'm like, fuck, Satan, get out of my head. And then, like, Beelzebub was probably not too far off, and it was just weird noises and strange anxieties that did not need to be with me, because I carry a lot of stupidity in terms of anxiety, because that's just my makeup. But that amplified it a bit, whereas previously it helped. But the trick was not to do them right before bed. and it was a microdose. It was like a specific amount in a capsule. It was supposed to be one thing. It doesn't even get you like fucked up. All right. So I pick up a guitar and I ended up playing a song and it just like for an hour, just like over and over and over and over again. It became like a mantra and it fucking helped and I got to bed. And that song is on the album coming up and it's this one. I'm not playing the whole thing, but you'll now you know the story. Have fun with it. That one that I played the other day. That's the acoustic one that I was telling you about. So when you hear it, you'll know the story behind it. So someone said, why not listen to music? I guess that time it wasn't, I don't know why. Good point. If someone said, damn, man, are you like good now? I'm always working on being good. Always working on it. Why don't you guys ask me some questions not about Redvox for a bit? And then, Vinny, do you find being non-sober aids in writing music? Depends on what you mean by non-sober. I'm mostly sober. My life is 98% sober. I have a little puff, man. You know, if I need a little lyric, I do. If I can't find the words, you know, and like I'm having a thrash, I'll take a puff. Then, you know, see what happens. Go for a walk. But I wouldn't say it's necessary, nor is it vital to me, nor is it a crutch. Least favorite pop song of 2019. I don't know because I don't hear them. I'm not really exposed to them, so I couldn't even really fucking tell you. I heard one today at the deli, which was like Cardi B was on it, I think, and it was like I heard you know the horns, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, I thought those horns were a joke, but they're actually in a lot of songs. So I don't know what the hell that was. Vinny, what's the strangest album that you enjoyed? It's called The Lobster by Bjorn Olsen. It's just a cowboy acoustic album. I really like that one. Favorite songs on Skylarking by XTC. I played a lot of that album. Almost all of it I love, but The Meeting Place, Grass, Summer's Cauldron, in particular, I like those, yeah. Do you like King Crimson? One day I'm going to take the dive into King Crimson. One day. I already love most of what I hear of them, but I don't know them enough to really give you a good answer. So, let's see. How was your day, Vin? I went to Comic-Con today, so it was crazy. Favorite Alice in Chains album? Jar of Flies or Dirt, depending on the mood. Do you like Daft Punk? I do like Daft Punk. How do you compare the Now Now to previous Gorillaz albums? I think the Now Now is a surprisingly good album that feels like Damage Control in the best possible way. After everyone complained that Humans was Damon light and not really a great Gorillaz album, I think Damon was like, well, I have these songs. And then they just put something together, released it the next year. And I think it's a great album. I think they did a great job with it. And those songs are pretty, most of them are pretty great. So, yeah, I think it compares favorably. Vinny, do you have any recommendations for bands that are similar to Tame Impala or Radiohead or anything that may have influenced your music? Beach House is good. I'd say listen to Post Animal, Pond, obviously King Gizzard. Gum is another band, Jay Watson's band from Tame Impala and Pond. That they're pretty damn good, and also, you know, all these Australian bands have like these connections, all these lads, and I think it might be worth checking out Pond and Gum. And I would also, there was another one too I wanted to recommend, but I can't think of it now. Oh man, well, check out the Flaming Lips if you haven't, because there's definitely like a crossover between Tame Impala and them. So I would check those bands out. And hang on, the Murlocs. That's Ambrose from King Gizzard. He's in there. And Melody's Echo Chamber, for sure. Oh, last one, Mild High Club. I could go on. Vinny, what song do you listen to while having a drink in the evening? For example, drinking a bottle of wine. I don't really, God, I don't really drink enough to give you a good answer. The Doors, if the Doors is a great drinking band. I think you want to listen to. For me, if I'm drinking, I like to be at a bar that's playing classic rock. I want to hear Led Zeppelin. I want to hear Black Sabbath, the Rolling Stones. I may not even love the Rolling Stones, but I want to hear them when I'm drinking. You know, give me like some, T-Rex. I want to hear Mott the Hoople. Bands I'd never go to ever, but if I'm at a bar and I'm having a drink, give me some Mott the Hoople. Just a lot of good classic rock. Vinny, have you listened to Primus? I like Primus a lot. I met Les Claypool and Sean Lennon at their show this year, and Les Claypool's fucking awesome. I admire him. I love his work. I'm not a huge Primus nut, but I, know plenty of their songs, and I fucking love them. Vinny, what's your least favorite popular pop song of all time? I could think of a lot, but Cotton Eye Joe comes to mind immediately. Do you like Temples? I've seen Temples live twice, actually. I think they're great, but I haven't listened to them in a while because their second album kind of lost me. And I feel like they can be a little one note, but I like them. And I remember seeing them at Union Pool in Brooklyn just before their first album even came out. And I had a cigarette with the guys. It was raining, but I met all the Temples and I talked to James for a while. Vinny, is there an album or song that you always find yourself coming back to no matter how many times you've listened to it because of the impact it's had on you? Yeah, absolutely. This goes into the favorite song category, which is 10 Years Gone by Led Zeppelin. I don't know what it is, man. When I first heard that song, it had an effect on me. The way it sounds, the guitars, the Robert Plant's lyrics. I think it's Zeppelin's like best song, probably, and I love it. I just can't. I don't get sick of it, and when I go back to it, I'm always happy to hear it. Similarly, if we're gonna do favorite songs, I can't give you favorite songs because there's too many, and it would be too hard. But I can give you a couple that, in the same way, I always come back to, and some of you may know these already. Motorway to Roswell by the Pixies. That is a good UFO song. I'd also say that I really like Station to Station by David Bowie, of course. I think it's like just great all the way through, 9 minutes. Love it. And there was one more that I was thinking of that I can't remember right this second. Oh, Airbag by Radiohead. When Radiohead clicked for me, which took a while because I wasn't into them when they got big. I knew Karma Police. I thought it was cool. No Surprises, Paranoid Android. Remember those. Did not listen to OK Computer until like 10 years after the record came out. And when I did, and Radiohead started clicking, it was because of Hail to the Thief, weirdly enough. And when I finally sat down and listened to Radiohead, and I gave them a proper listen, it was OK Computer, and Airbag just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I went from, this band's cool, to, I think I love this band. Thoughts on the Mars Volta reuniting? If Cedric can sing the songs, then sure. They should get John Theodore, but John Theodore is Mars Volta's best drummer, in my opinion, and he did their first couple albums, and I saw them live in like 2005, and one of the songs that I was at was actually on their live album, Scab Dates. Weird name for a live album, whatever. I loved seeing them live, and I didn't understand half of it, but I didn't care. It blew my mind. And John Theodore, the drummer who is now with Queens of the Stone Age, was with Mars Volta at the time. And I think if they lost their bassist. He fucking died. Ike Owens, I believe it was. Am I correct, chat? I think it was Ike. But yeah, so, the band they got to get John Theodore back, or I don't necessarily know if I'm okay with a reunion. Ike was the piano. Okay, so Juan Alderete was their bassist, I believe. So Ike, hang on a minute. We're going to find out real quick because I don't want to tell tall tales. I feel I should know these things. Yeah, Juan is still alive. He's 56 years old. Jesus Christ. And Cedric is 44. Ike passed away. Yeah, Ike was a fucking genius on the keys. So, yeah, I'd like to see them come back, but they got to get John Theodore. Vinny, what bands do you think sound better live than recorded? Conversely, who sounds better in a studio than a live setting? Band that sounds better live than recorded. I'd say the Raconteurs, when I saw them this year, they blew me away with how much they put into their shows. Even though the songs are sloppy, it's the same kind of sloppy that is interesting and intriguing to watch live. I thought they were fucking great. So even though their studio stuff is awesome too, Pond puts on a really, really good live show. I'm going to say Tame Impala is better in the studio because their live show is so similar to their studio show. Or rather, their live show is so similar to their albums. Like, Tame Impala uses a lot of drum triggers. They use a lot of samples. They use a backing track for Kevin to sing over to strengthen his vocals. He's great live. They're great live, but they're just very... It's very similar. They throw in a couple little things, but it's a very similar show. God. You know, I mean, it depends, too, because one person might like a live show and one might not. I thought Paul McCartney was good when I saw him, but his voice is also really old. So even though they put on a good show, the band was great, he was great, it's still not, like, you're not going to get Ram quality or, like, Beatles quality. So it depends. Do you have a guitar pick that you solely use, or do you use any guitar pick? I have a little box of it's like a plastic box, and it's just a bunch of guitar picks. I use a specific gauge. The Vinesauce and Redvox guitar picks are my preferred. It's like acetone, and it's my preferred guitar pick, which is why I had those printed specifically in that style, because that's what I use. So I can use the Redvox or Vinesauce ones, but there's like I'm looking for one now. There's like a green pick that Joe uses that I also really like. It's Dunlop. I think it's like 90 gauge something. Like, there's different materials and levels of thickness. I said the thick word, everybody. That different guitar picks could have. And there's one in particular that's just, I don't know, there's just something about it that's really great. And it's hard to really nail down. But Tortex is pretty good too. So it's really kind of, it doesn't really matter. You can play a fucking guitar with a penny. And I got a really interesting guitar pick that is like made of rubber that can dull the sound of the strings a little bit. Also, sometimes you don't want to use a pick. Sometimes you want to use your fingers, because then the sound of a guitar pick is like really sharp, and your fingers can dull it a bit. But I can't find the specific type of guitar pick, but I have like hundreds of these things all over the place. Oh, wait, found them. Okay, so here's one. Dunlop Tortex. So same thing. They're both the same thing. 88 millimeters. 0.88 millimeters, not 88. 0.88 millimeter guitar pick. I can't believe I even had that much of an answer to that question. That's bizarre. Okay. Do you like Fleetwood Mac? I love Fleetwood Mac, yeah. Tusk and Rumors are just, ugh. Okay, let me scroll down all the way down. Okay, I missed, so if you ask a question, I can speak. Like 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, or even 3 minutes ago, then I'm not going to answer it, because you can ask it again if you want. Are you a fan of Jeff Tweedy's solo music? So Wilco, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot is still my favorite Wilco album, and Jeff Tweedy has some pretty good solo songs. Yeah, I like it. I like Wilco better because Nels Cline is amazing. Vinny, are you okay with people making remixes of your music? Not for profit, of course. You can do whatever you want. However, I'm not releasing the stems anytime soon, because it's just a lot of work. And you can remix it, you can cover it, you can do whatever you want with it. You can play it on your streams. I've been trying really hard to make sure that it doesn't get claimed, but I do have to upload the music. What we have to do is we have to upload it to like an aggregator that basically shoots it out everywhere. And I think it gets put into the copyright claim system automatically. And then I have to make a special request. Hey, can you get rid of that? So if my music is ever claimed when you play it and it becomes an issue, please let me know about it so I can fix that. They haven't been shy about it, so please let me know. Vinny, is there a song genre that you actually like but doesn't seem expected that you would like? No. If it's good, anything. But I like jazz. I don't listen to jazz on my free time, but I've been to a number of jazz clubs in Manhattan, and I love watching jazz musicians. I've watched blues, all that stuff, like just live doodling. I remember I worked at Public Access for 5 years, so I filmed bands, whether it be at a place or in the studio for 5 years, and a lot of the ones that were the most interesting were the ones that played jazz. I really enjoyed that. What's your favorite soundtrack of a movie, show, video game? Movie, Blade Runner. Video game, Chrono Trigger. This is you all know this already. And show, I don't know. Star Trek: The Next Generation's theme is amazing. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Are there any albums that you think are really good but difficult to listen to? Black Star by Bowie, absolutely. Really hard to listen to. Sometimes I have a hard time listening to the Nine Inch Nails album, The Fragile, because it just reminds me of people and times in my life, and also Trent was all fucked up. But there's another one too. I can't think of it. I know there was one more that I have a hard time coming back to. Innuendo by Queen. It's their last album. Freddie is dying of AIDS, and I cannot listen to that album because it just makes me too fucking sad. But I can listen to a couple songs from it, like The Show Must Go On. Like, they're great, great songs, but it just, oh, God. Do you have a favorite album audio production-wise? I'll let you know in a second, but I can say this. I can mix music a little bit. I can tell you, like, okay, this needs more bass, this needs more high end. I can do some effects. I can do some rudimentary mixing. But I'm not that good at it, and my ear is not that good. So I couldn't tell you necessarily what that might be. I mean, the easy answer is like a Pink Floyd album because they all sound so great. I love what Visconti did with Low. Low is just a fucking amazing album. So from a production standpoint, probably Low. Is there any bands from your youth that you still listen to despite them not fitting with your musical tastes now? For example, I used to listen to a lot of alt new metal. I can't stand or listen to most of those bands without cringing. Well, here's what I missed. I missed emo. I missed screamo. I missed new metal. All of that was not my thing, and I missed all of it. I missed, like the Blink-182 type bands too. Like the ones that sound like this. Like I didn't get why they sounded like that, and I missed all of it. And I was also, at the time, I was digging back into classic rock, so I wasn't really, like, for some reason there was like a tone or like a type of thing, like ska doesn't do it for me. Now, I can hear a song from Blink-182 and be like, that's a great song. I can hear a song now from any ska artist. If it's a good song, it's a good song, but the genre has just totally passed me by. You know what else passed me by? The Millennial Whoop, and any bands like Mumford and the Magnetic Zeros and all that kind of stuff. Just like a bunch of dudes wearing suspenders with mustaches, like, and just like making noises on a washboard and like woeing and all that stuff. I don't know what that is. I don't like it. You can like it. I've heard it. Sure, some of it's okay. I'm sure the music is fine. I don't know what century I have to live in to really understand that music. It can be pleasant to listen to. I would argue that the reason rock doesn't really have a lot of popularity right now is because there's not a lot. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff, but it's just there's not a lot of stuff being promoted or pushing through. The stuff that was being played on the radio the most was that stuff, and the stuff that was being pushed the most was stuff that was adjacent to what was popular and successful. And we ended up kind of with like this oversaturation, and it got boring. And I don't know. I mean, I think rap is. I've heard, people saying rap is going down the same kind of road. I have no idea. I'll be honest. I don't listen to a lot of it, and I really will be the first to tell you as well that my musical taste is limited. I can listen to something cool and perk up and be like, "That's amazing." There's a lot of soundtracks that I can listen to and be like, "I love all of these songs, regardless of genre." Like, one of the genres that I listen to is I love soul music. You know, you, Bobby Womack, Isaac Hayes. I don't know why. I think it's amazing. And my dad listened to it, and I grew up listening to it. So I can listen to different things, but I will also kind of stay within the genre I like the most, which is, I mean, kind of various forms of rock I tend to like. And I feel like within rock, you can do a lot. You listen to the White Album by the Beatles, and that's in the 60s, and every song sounds different, and every song is a different style in some way. And I like that. I like variety. Then you have a band like Nickelback, which is an easy target band, and I have a hard time listening. Well, most people do. They're, again, low-hanging fruit, but their albums tend to, it's like one song into the next song, into the next song, into the next song, and it's like, okay, well, you have the same instruments. It's the guitar, it's the bass, it's the drums, it's the Krog. And that can work. There's a lot of like Iggy Pop, The Stooges. I love Funhouse by The Stooges. And it's basically very simple, just pop, like really punky songs. And I like that, but I also like variety. So I like an album that has a lot of different sounds on it, where every song kind of feels a little different, sounds a little different. So I don't even remember the original question. I went on a huge fucking tangent, and whatever that was, that's all I'm saying. Vinny, do you listen to Vaporwave? I don't. I've heard it. I couldn't tell you a song. I don't know the names of them. I'm sorry. Vinny, not a question, but I wanted to thank you, excuse me, for talking about the Raconteurs as much as you did. I finally sat down and delved into them in addition to Jack White's material as a solo artist in the White Stripes, and I ended up having a dream about him. Oh. Well, so that's another band I didn't really get into. I really had to see them live. Going back to the question of who's better live than on album, I think the White Stripes had great albums, but seeing Jack White live in like 2005 or 6 or something like that, and Coney Island was like a revelation in some ways, because he totally convinced me that he was a rock star and not just a dude wearing red and white like candy stripes. And I don't mean like rock star like Chad Kroeger singing, "Hey, hey, I wanna be a rock star." Like, no, the dude is just a great guitarist, singer who puts everything into his shows. And I don't like every White Stripes album. I don't like every White Stripes song. But when I finally got into them later on, I thought, like, I'm going to follow this dude. And yeah, his music is great. Lingua Ignota. No, I don't know who that is. Sorry. The problem, another thing is, no matter how much music you listen to, it's so impossible to keep up. Back in the 60s, if you listen to rock, you could kind of focus on like, okay, I got this band, I know this band, I know this band. Now, there are so many different genres of just rock alone, and within that subgenres, that it's almost impossible to keep up. You'd be listening to a new album every day, 10 new albums every day, and that's just probably rock. and then you can go on Bandcamp and you can see all the new releases, and it's like, holy shit, dude. So it's really hard to keep up, and I don't pretend to. People send me music all the time, and I want you to know I do appreciate it. But when I get like several albums a week requested, or like, Vinny, you got to listen to this song, and that might be like 10 songs a week. I'm just like, I can't keep up. And I'll listen sometimes, and sometimes it's cool. But lately I've been discovering new music just through Spotify, like their weird algorithms, or music from movies, or just stuff that I hear. Maybe Joe will recommend something. And, so I listen to new music when I can find it. The point I guess I'm trying to make is it's really hard to keep up, and it's hard to figure out what's happening in music right now, because everyone has different tastes and there's so much of it. Vinny, if I like Red Vox, what are other bands you could recommend that are similar? We are not as good as these bands, but Radiohead, Tame Impala, Queens of the Stone Age, Nirvana, it's in there. The DNA of it is definitely in there. Stone Temple Pilots, Blur. You can check out Alice in Chains, maybe. We're not really comparable. Pink Floyd. Vinny, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Tool. That was earlier in the discussion. Don't worry, this whole thing is going to be on YouTube. Vinny, are you interested in more Spanish music? I like the style. Let me keep going down. Okay, so what do we got here now? Vinny, do you have any favorite foreign language bands? Bjorn Olsen, who's Swedish, and lately, some of you know I've played the songs with Pescado Rabioso, which I think means rabid fish or rotten fish, and that's an Argentinian band. I thought they were really great. What do you think? What do you think of the album Reality by Bowie? I think it's actually underrated. Some good songs on there. Any Foo Fighters? I like Foo Fighters. I think Foo Fighters can get really fucking boring, but they're great live, and they're fun. They're a fun band. I don't think they ever really lived up to their potential with Color in the Shape, which was, for me, the best Foo Fighters album. One by One is good. Wasting Light is very good. And anything in between there, you're going to find some good stuff. They're just a good band, but they don't blow me away. Are you into any blues? I get bored of it, but the rudiment of most of what I listen to is rooted in blues, yeah. I mean, blues is just kind of all-encompassing. I'm not like going back to Leadbelly like Cobain did. I'm not going back to Sunhouse like Jack White. But I know a lot of that stuff, and I do appreciate it, and I do like it, and I've been able to, like, soloing in a blues scale is pretty easy for me. And I think a lot of people kind of find it that way because you can kind of just do the scale. Just play the blues. All right. Vinny, speaking of Blur, did you know that Alex James made Gordon Ramsay drink a cappuccino made with his wife's breast milk? Well, that concludes our music discussion. Thank you for joining. No, I'm kidding. That's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. Good job, Alex James. Vinny, what got you into music? To clarify, did you hear a song or experience an album that made you go, oh, I need to make music myself right now? Well, got me into music as opposed to playing music. Here's two answers. One, it was 1995. Unplugged from New York by Nirvana came out, and I did not know music. I only knew Zelda music and video game music, and I liked that well enough, but I wasn't like into music. And my cousin Joe would bring around Nirvana, and we would go in a pool, the pool, in fact, and he would play Unplugged from New York, and my family would hear it, I would hear it, and I remember thinking, I didn't think much of it. I just thought, like, oh, these are kind of neat songs, but he kept bringing the album, and I remember he was a Nirvana fan because he was in the perfect age group. He was like 16 when Nevermind came out, or 15, something like that. Maybe even, I don't even really know what age he was actually. I could be kind of off there, but the point is, he was in the perfect age for Nirvana. He brought Unplugged over. I was 10, and I just one day, I mean, he told me the story. He said, one day you just swam over to me and you started asking me questions about Kurt Cobain. You were like, who is this guy? You know, what does he look like? In my head, I thought he had black hair, like just your typical rock star black hair dude. And then I wanted to know more, and he showed me a video, Live and Loud, I think he showed me. And I mean, Unplugged is great, and most of the songs that I liked were the ones from the Meat Puppets. I loved Man Who Sold the World. So in some ways, Bowie was one of my first favorite songs, Man Who Sold the World, as played by Nirvana. And those songs are just so fucking simple. And like Kurt would say, you know, to Dave, like they're like nursery rhymes, or not really nursery rhymes, but like, yeah, well, maybe. Just really simple songs with strong choruses, repetition, very similar to what the Beatles would do and punk, and it just worked. It would get in your head. It would get in your head. It would create like a mood, and I loved that shit. I don't know why I loved it, but I just like turned on one day, and I learned everything about them. I got their albums, became obsessive. Then I branched out into Soundgarden and the rest of the bands that were happening at the time. And then I knew about the Beatles, and I got into the classic rock stuff. So for a while, I stopped listening to music. Like from 10 to 14, I was listening to all the grunge stuff. And then grunge kind of died. And it was like Disturbed was the new big thing, and like the new metal stuff. And I just stopped listening to what was on the radio because it wasn't doing anything for me. I was like, this isn't as good as Soundgarden or Nirvana. And I just stopped listening to music the same way, and I would listen to, at that time, Final Fantasy VII soundtrack kind of meant a lot to me, and various Final Fantasy and game music meant a lot to me. But then, around 16, my cousin gave me a CD of Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, and The Doors. And I became obsessive with The Doors in particular. The Doors were the one band that got me into classic rock, where I was like, at first I was like, no, stupid parents like that. The stupid. No, I don't like classic rock because it's for old people and they don't get me, bro. I'm the new Joker. And then I listened to The Doors more and more, and then I actually, God, this is embarrassing. I stole my mom's Doors Greatest Hits cassette to listen in my Walkman. And she was like, where is it? I had borrowed it, but I gave it back eventually, but I wore it out pretty bad. So that's how much The Doors meant to me. And then from there, it was Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin. And then Zeppelin is the reason I started playing guitar, because I thought Zeppelin was the best. Jimmy Page, on that DVD that came out in 2003, was a god. What I found out later was there was a lot of editing. And he's a very sloppy guitarist, but that's okay because he always like went for it, and his solos might have been sloppy, but I just loved the way he played. And it was, yeah, Jimmy Page. It was probably the reason I got a guitar at the age of 18, and obviously other bands too. I wanted to learn Nirvana. I wanted to learn The Doors, and then Pink Floyd was just like, oh, I want to do this. Like, the way Gilmour plays is just mental, and not just his solos, but the rhythm, the sound. Like, it was the production of the guitar too. It wasn't just this loud, crazy thing. I mean, they did loud songs too, and I love distorted guitar, but the way Floyd sounded, the guitar just sounded so fucking good. I was like, an instrument could make me feel all these different ways. I want to do that. And so I got, my first guitar was like a PV Strat. It was garbage. And then the second one I got was an Epiphone Les Paul, which was like Jimmy Page's type guitar, but it was an Epiphone, so it was cheaper. And then the one after that I got was the Strat, the bluish Strat that I still use to this day on most Redvox recordings. Shitty $200 Mexican-made Strat, The American made Strats, those are like 900. You get the Mexican made Strats, and it's like, because they make it cheaper over there, you can buy them cheaper. And they say the wood's not as good. Dude, my Strat sounds better than 90% of the guitars I've ever heard. It's got some problems, but that's why I like it. I have to fight with it sometimes. But, I have a Rickenbacker. It's an expensive guitar. I've got a Gretsch, that Electromatic, that's also expensive and really, really great. That Strat is yet to be beaten. I have a Fender Jaguar as well, like the one Kurt played in Utero Tour. And similar color, not the same thing. But I like that guitar. It's cool, but again, for some reason, I just kept coming back to the Strat, because Gilmour played Strats. And I always thought, well, the Stratocaster is like just the guitar brand guitar. It doesn't even look that cool. It's not a flying V, man. And it's not like a big, juicy Les Paul. Sorry, that's a weird way to describe that. It's just a really kind of, again, basic looking guitar. It doesn't really... It's fine, but the older I got, and I didn't play it for years. In fact, when I was in Davies Gray, I was discouraged from playing the Strat because it didn't look as cool as the Les Paul. And they're like, no, bro, you should play the Les Paul instead. I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, I don't gel with Les Pauls. It's not my style. I made it work. It was fine, but the way the pickups are, it's a heavy guitar. It's really fucking heavy. It makes your shoulder hurt. And yeah, it's like the sound is a lot darker. It's not very bright. And then, years later, I came back to the Strat, and the first Red Vox album was mostly the Rickenbacker and the Jaguar, sorry. And then Another Light was Rickenbacker, a little bit, mostly the Strat. And then this new album is, Gretsch was on there too, but this new album is 90% Strat. No, that's not true. Maybe 80% Strat, 20% Gretsch. And then Joe's Telecaster is on there too. Telecasters are really great guitars. Most of you have no idea what I'm talking about with the guitars. Sorry if it's boring. I love talking guitars. I'm still, again, limited in my knowledge of them, but they're fascinating to me, and I love them. Please explain in non-musical terms. Okay, picture this. Picture you have a shitty thing that you really like that just is cool. But someone has a more expensive thing that's cool to them. No, this doesn't work. Flintstones vitamins. All right, Flintstones vitamins. No. Picture liking Super Mario 2 more than Super Mario World. Just because. Okay. What other questions do we have? I'm glad I did this here and not on the main channel. It's because people would be like, Vinny, where's the video games? Vinny, do you like the new Red Vox album more than Another Light? At the moment, I do, because the next thing I do is always my favorite thing. So at the moment, I think it's the best thing I've ever done. But I could be wrong. You be the judge of that when the time comes. Vinny, if you listen to Random Access Memories by Daft Punk, what did you think of how they recorded it? I think the recording, they used, like the chat member said, they used some equipment to make it sound more 70s. I think it's a really nice sounding album, and I like the sound of the guitars and everything else on it. But the fact that Nile Rodgers, what's his name? Why can't I think of it now? It's Nile Rodgers, right? Yeah, Nile Rodgers, who was also in Chic, and he played for David Bowie in Let's Dance. He played the guitar on that record, and he sounds amazing. My favorite song from Random Access Memories is, I think it might be Give Life Back to Music. Instant Crush is really good. Lose Yourself to Dance. Giorgio by Marauder. Doing It Right. So many good songs. How the fuck do you choose? Classic album. Vinny, have you ever liked Animal Collective? They're all right. I don't know a lot of their stuff, but they're pretty great. Kid A thoughts. Kid A is a fucking classic Radiohead album that can put me in a very specific mood, and I love it dearly. And I think it might be their best. Not my favorite, but it might be their best from just a standpoint of like artistic achievement, I guess. I think it's great, but I don't always listen to it. What would be a good starting album to get into King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard? I would say if you're going to listen to King Gizzard, start with Fishing for Fishies, or maybe Nonagon Infinity. Probably Nonagon Infinity. I would also probably recommend some of their earlier work too, like Paper Mache Dream Balloon. That's a nice acoustic album. I like Flying Microtonal Banana a lot. If you like heavier stuff, go for the newest one, Infest the Rat's Nest. Sorry, Comic-Con today. Very long, very crazy day. I'm not even sure why I'm doing this right now, but thoughts on hip-hop. I don't have enough thoughts on hip-hop. I really don't. I think I grew up listening to the version of hip-hop that I liked, which was the Tupac stuff, the Biggie stuff. I listened to the stuff that was like early 90s. That was the stuff that my friend showed me that I liked. And then he started showing me stuff from the late 90s, and I wasn't digging it. And I realized I couldn't relate to the lyrics. I don't, I mean, it's a huge genre, so you can find something you like. But I also never ended up finding the stuff that really connected with me. I just couldn't. But I can get into it. Someone said, what do you like to listen to when you're drunk? I'm also okay with rap. And I did listen to Eminem when he was huge in the late 90s, early 2000s. I had the album, the one, and I liked it like everyone else did. Got obsessive with it almost. Wu-Tang. I grew up listening to Wu-Tang as well because they were from Staten Island or Shaolin. It's not as cool as they make it sound, I promise. And Wu-Tang was great. I mean, I don't remember a lot of it, but the stuff that my cousin showed me and the stuff that my friends were listening to, I thought was genuinely good. It just didn't stick. I like melody. That's me. My makeup is melody. Rhythm, I have it or you don't. That's a fallacy, but I really don't know how I feel about trying to make hip-hop type beats, though I think you'll hear a song or two on this new album that you may find interesting in that regard. But I'm more of a guitar melodic type dude. I like melody. And yeah, anyone that the Gorillaz have collaborated with, I love. And I do like Dell, and I'm definitely a fan of David Byrne did a song with who was it? Oh my God, why am I blanking? De La Soul. Thought that was cool. Vinny, is there any meaning or anything to telephone? Well, I told you, chat member, maybe you weren't here. Don't ask me the meaning of the songs. Huh? Oh, but I'll tell you anyway, because why not? I'll tell you what it means to me, but I won't do this for every song. They say, I was wondering if there's any meaning. It seems like it was the same 4 lyrics repeated. Now, the thing is, Telephone has more than 4 lyrics. I have to look them up online because I don't know them offhand, but no, there's quite a bit more than 4 lyrics. The song is about drugs. It's about someone who's fucking zonked out on drugs. That was my meaning for Telephone. And there's some other stuff in there I won't tell you about, but, heard you sounding like a dial tone, marbles in your mouth. Caught you saying that you're in control, but your wheels are spinning out. It was, I knew a couple people that started doing like heavy Percocets and going down really dark paths. And the idea of Telephone was like, how the quality of someone's voice on a telephone is really low, like it just sounds like, huh, what? And I tried to use the metaphor, and I ran with it. So there you go. I did the exact thing I said I wouldn't do, but now you know. Any thoughts on that song or the production of Back to School or Job in the City? I don't have any production thoughts. Joe did that, but I think they sounded good. Vinny, speaking of David Byrne, do you believe in the Talking Heads breakup? David Byrne saying everybody got tired, or Tina Weymouth and Chris France saying Byrne is an asshole? I'm going to say Talking Heads is a hugely important band to me, and I love David Byrne very much. I think David Byrne is a perfectionist who is difficult. In his book, he claims that he might even be on the spectrum a little bit, which, I don't know. He doesn't know, but watch his interviews, watch him explain himself, watch how passionate he can be about his music. I think the dude is a bit of a control freak, and I think the dude probably can be difficult. That said, I don't think he means unwell. I don't think I don't think he means poorly or negative when he is like that. I think he just wants to make the music he wants to make. And I also think that, yeah, by the end of the Talking Heads, like, they could have broken up maybe 2 albums before they did, because their last 2 or 3 albums are not amazing. There's a couple great songs in there. But yeah, the band just wasn't, I mean, a lot of it is David Byrne's world music influence that was kind of seeping into it. I think the whole band got tired, not just Tina and Chris. I think the whole band was burnt out by the time you got to Speaking in Tongues is a fucking amazing album. And then after that, I think they just like, what do we do now? And it just didn't work out that great. True Stories is okay though. It's got a couple decent songs on there. But that can happen. I mean, they reached a huge pinnacle. They creatively and commercially, they influenced so many bands. They were hugely important. Where do you go from there? I think David probably just wanted to do weird shit and do his own thing. Vinny, have you listened to Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly? No, I have not. Sorry, the name of that album makes me laugh. I have not listened to Kendrick Lamar at all. Vinny, what song makes you cry? Listening to Doug Walker's cover of The Wall. No, I guess what makes me cry, what song makes me cry? There are several. There are definitely a lot of albums that make me cry. And songs. Bowie can do it. Black Star is definitely one of those things. Like I said, 10 Years Gone, very emotional. Listening to, God, there were some moments where I was listening to like the Beatles that had happened, but I not like burst out in tears, but yeah, that kind of shit can happen, and I can't think of very specific examples, even though I had a couple more. I know it's happened. I have to think about that. Good question. Vinny, would you ever rap on a Vinesauce type beat? There's okay. So Joe, as a producer, has to go through this a lot. There's a lot of people that will go to Joe's studio that are, say, like myself, that try to rap because they think it'll be good for their career or because that's what's popular, and it just becomes, stick with what you're good at. And I don't think you want to hear me rap. You really don't want to hear me rap. I don't have that in me. That's rhythm. You have it or you don't. I really don't think I have it. Not on that level. So. Vinny, do you have a band or album that you over listen to the point where you kind of can't stand them anymore? Nirvana is a really good example of that. I think the first Pearl Jam album I wore out as much as I like it. Shit. Dark Side of the Moon. I listened to it too much. Stairway to Heaven, which is just the song. I can listen to a lot of other Zeppelin 4. There's a reason Stairway to Heaven is often considered the ultimate rock song, and Wayne's World joked about it and whatever. When I first heard Stairway to Heaven, I was really genuinely blown away by it. I don't know why. I just loved it. And I listened to it over and over and over again. What is a Vinesauce type beat, by the way? Sorry, that's going back to that previous question. What is your favorite video game soundtrack and why is it Chrono Trigger? So I've answered that question already, but I'll expand on it. It is Chrono Trigger because there's just something to the sound font, the melodies, the progressions. The songs never get boring. It's a varied soundtrack. There's a lot of variety, yet you can kind of almost know it's from Chrono Trigger just based on the stamp of the composer. And that's amazing. Mitsuda is a genius. The Uematsu composed tracks are also amazing. But it's just an emotional, like, you want to hear songs I've cried to? Let's try Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross soundtrack easily. How about Secret of Mana? Yep, those. Secret of Mana, also amazing soundtrack. Much more eclectic, but I like it quite a bit. I'll give you a couple other great soundtracks. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. We can talk about Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Super Metroid. Many of you know this. I've answered these musical questions in regards to soundtracks many times. But, man, there's just so many good ones. Katamari? Yeah, sure. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid, the Metal Gear Solid 1, not the Twin Stakes. Twin Stakes? I gotta go to bed soon. Not Twin Snakes, but the original Metal Gear Solid has a fucking amazing, phenomenal soundtrack. Mario Galaxy's great. Earthbound, Mother 3? I mean, yeah, but my favorite's still Chrono Trigger. Final Fantasy IX was great to re-listen to as well. Have you listened to much Julian Casablancas? No. Do you have a favorite Sabbath song or album? Black Sabbath, Black Sabbath, Black Sabbath. I'm not kidding. Vinny, least favorite song or album by your favorite artists? Or any other contrarian thoughts? I got plenty of current musical trend thoughts that people would probably disagree with because it's so popular. But I don't like a lot of what's happening in music right now. I wish I did. I wish I could join in on the fun. But I have a hard time listening to a lot of that stuff. I will say, in terms of least favorite, I hate David Bowie's first album. It's such a gimmicky record. Floyd put out some trash. You know, I don't really like the Talking Heads' first album very much. Some of it's okay. And I like pretty much everything. Like every Beatles album, I think has merit. Even Please Please Me and the first couple albums, I think they're all great on some level. So I love Oasis. That's a contrarian thought in and of itself. People hate Oasis just because the brothers are shit or they can't stand Liam's voice, amongst other reasons. But I think Oasis are just fantastic and they're cocks, but good music. We're gonna do some very fast questions. Ask me quick ones, and ones I can answer in a couple seconds. Is Fleetwood Mac overrated? The word overrated is a lot to unpack, and it kind of annoys me. And I'll tell you what, Fleetwood Mac is fucking amazing. So overrated is a different story. I don't want to talk about over or underrated necessarily, because that's so totally subjective, and I don't know who's rating them or where they're being rated. Thoughts on Joy Division New Order? I like both, but I don't know enough by them, sorry to say. New Order, though, I've listened to quite a bit. They're cool. Thoughts on shoegaze? I've heard a little bit. Didn't kill me. Thoughts on The Final Cut by Pink Floyd? Here's an unpopular opinion. I think The Final Cut is fantastic. I love it. Genuinely. Do you like Tropical Fuckstorm? I don't know. What DAW does Joe use? Pro Tools. We answered the Now question earlier. Rage Against the Machine. I'd never went album by album, but they're great. Thoughts on the Smiths. Also have not gone album by album, but they're great. How are your hives? They're gone. And the band The Hives, I don't know a lot of, but they're pretty good. Are you into Icelandic music? I don't think I am. I might be. Thoughts on ELO? Very good. Thoughts on The Residents? I need to listen to more of them. Favorite MGMT album is Little Dark Age. Have you listened to My Morning Jacket? I thought My Morning Jacket was like a Sum 41 type band because of the name. And then I found out that they were actually like a lot deeper than that. And so I've listened to more of them, and they're good. Listen to anything by They Might Be Giants. I find their music to be a bit gimmicky. I'm going to get shit for saying that. However, Fingertips is fun, and I've listened to a couple other songs by them that I really liked. But I've not gone album by album. Have you listened to Fugazi? I know like 10 Fugazi songs, maybe less, and I think they're great, yeah. Vinny, did you actually try and rap at one point for a Red Vox song? Why do we keep going back to me rapping? You don't want to hear me rapping. Yes, I have. No, I haven't. I just kind of did spoken word kind of stuff a little bit, but it wasn't ever really supposed to be rap. Last song you listened to was Abbey Road, I think. Probably I don't know. What do you thoughts on Come of Age by The Vaccines? Recently listened to it, really like it. Opinions on Pablo Honey. I don't like a lot of Pablo Honey from Radiohead, but I will say this. Pablo Honey has a couple really good songs on it. I think it's a really good starting album, even if it doesn't sound anything like what Radiohead was to become. Obviously, everyone knows Creep. I think You is a better song than Creep. Thinking About You is pretty good, too. Yeah, there's a couple good songs on there. I don't really listen to it often, but it's all right. Country music, I don't. Favorite Billy Joel song? Oh, man, that's tough. I like All for Lena. So Billy Joel's another one I really love. There's a lot of not great Billy Joel. He's in Madison Square Garden this month. Huh. I love For the Longest Time. God, what's the song? The Boat song. I really like the Boat song. The Downeaster Alexa. Great song. I think I love the Stranger album. All of that album is classic. And Glass Houses is a great album. It's got Sometimes a Fantasy, Don't Ask Me Why, You May Be Right. It's still rock and roll to me. All for Lena. That's a hell of an album. Yeah, Billy Joel's fucking great. Thoughts on Sonic Youth? I don't like them that much. I think they're more style over substance, honestly. They were so important, and they were so like underground and weird, and I know the whole scene has a lot riding on the Sonic Youth influence. And I get their importance. I don't really love them. I just don't. Couldn't. Modest Mouse, I really don't know a lot of them either, but I like them. Vinny, recently on a stream you said something like you weren't musically passionate, and I was really confused. Because it seems like Red Vox is very passionate. I guess I'm trying to ask you what you mean by that. I need an exact context, because here's the thing. I stream nearly 4 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week, maybe sometimes 7 days a week. And it's like I say stuff that may be a joke that people misinterpret. I may say a weird thing when I'm like real tired. I may say something that is in regards to a different topic. Maybe it's an in-joke. So when I hear you, when I read that just now, I would think I don't really know what I said, but I'm very passionate about music, about both the music I make and what I listen to. But that said, it's still just music. It's Bruce Springsteen, who I don't love, but he said something like you kind of have to have these two opposing thoughts in your head when you're on stage, which is that it's the most important thing in the world and it's the stupidest thing in the world. And it's true because it really is. It's dumb, but it also means a lot to people. It's just songs. Buckethead, I don't know. I don't know Buckethead. I know who he is. I know about his bucket. What about Genesis? Genesis Genesis would intend Genesis. I think Genesis is fucking great, but it depends on the era of Genesis. I mostly prefer early Phil Collins Genesis, like just after Peter Gabriel left. I also like Peter Gabriel Genesis. And then my least favorite Genesis is late 80s. You know, there's some good songs in there, but I don't, you know, it gets too Phil Collins-y. And I like Phil Collins, I do. But, you know. Do you like Roger Waters' pros and cons of hitchhiking? Not really. I have a real hard time with Roger Waters' solo stuff. I think Roger... The case to my computer just like opened. Did you hear that? It just opened and my mouse fell. I guess I didn't put it back. Oh, I didn't tie it properly since my incident. That's not good. It just like opened. Hang on a minute. Just a second, chat. I'll be right with you. Answer a couple more questions. Roger Waters, I don't think is he's good. He's excellent as a lyricist and as a conceptual songwriter. I thought none of his solo work really delivered on what he fucking God damn it. Gotta put the twist tie. Not a twist tie. I have the screw. I think you know he's good, but he was not the most musical member of the band. That was Rick Wright and David Gilmour, and so I have a hard time listening to his solo work, even though he's very passionate about it, and I like his singing voice. I like Gilmour's solo stuff better, but his lyrics are dreadful. They're just so bland. What else did I just drop? Can we, like, not drop things? What the fuck is this? Oh, alright. If you were offered to feature on any band's album, who would you want to collab with? Oh, God. Let me... I can't answer that question, because I'd like to collaborate with Sean Lennon, maybe, because I feel like Sean is doing cool shit with Les Claypool. I like his guitar style. I like the style of his music on those albums, and he's a great guitarist. And I feel like that's... I don't want to say like Radiohead or like, you know, like a massive band, but like Sean Lennon I'd enjoy very much. Favorite tracks from Elliott Smith. Figure Eight is my favorite Elliott Smith album, so all of Figure Eight plus King's Crossing. To answer a previous question, there's a song called King's Crossing by Elliott Smith that has both made me cry and is too difficult to listen to. Listen to it. Tell me what you think. Maybe it's just my own personal thing, but it's knowing the history of Elliott Smith, knowing what that song means, and the way it sounds and the lyrics, it just blows me away. I can't listen to it. I have a real hard time with it. There's a couple other questions I wanted to answer. What the fuck? Dr. Dog? Oh, I like Dr. Dog. I can't give you specifics, but they're good. Moody Blues, I'd never really listened to deep. I listened to a little bit of Moody Blues and I thought they were great, but it was never an album by album band. Thoughts on Unknown Mortal Orchestra? They're pretty much consistently great. Every album that they have put out, I've enjoyed on some level. And I think 2 is the one that I got obsessed with. So their album 2. I love that one. Have you listened to The Strokes? Not really a lot. Favorite Queen album? I answered that earlier. It's Night at the Opera or News of the World. What are your favorite instruments? I love, obviously, the sound of a guitar. Synthesizer, depending on the style of the instrument, you can get a million different sounds out of a synthesizer. But if we're talking about like a specific thing, the Rhodes keyboard, I can't get enough of that fucking thing. So a Hammond organ is great, for sure. Guitar is great, but Rhodes, excellent. Have you listened to enough Def Leppard to form an opinion on them? Isn't there a movie about Def Leppard? I feel like I know more Def Leppard than. Yeah, I think I saw that movie. Yeah, they're good. They're just cock rock '80s. They're just that, but they're a good cock rock '80s. Maybe one of the best. I mean, I feel that way about Van Halen too. Like I may not know all their material. I certainly don't know all their material, but goddamn, do they have some good fucking songs? You can't beat Van Halen at their height. But again, there's just too much to know, so I don't know it. Which musician would you bring back from the dead if you could? Oh fuck. Um, Rick Ocasek, even though he died at the age of 75. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. I'm sorry. Nine Inch Nails thoughts. Nine Inch Nails I saw last year with Chromatic, who's in chat. Hey, Crom. And they were the best concert I saw last year. And I think Nine Inch Nails is a very important band to me. And I still don't know all their stuff. It's one of those bands that I got to kind of be in the right mood, but there are also times I can just listen to them. Last year, if you were at my streams, you would have heard a lot of Nine Inch Nails during the breaks. So, Mellotron is in a lot of our music, actually. We have Mellotron on the upcoming album, but it's on a lot of our albums. It's on Stranded. How would you fix Maxwell's Silver Hammer? I'd put it on a Paul McCartney solo album and get it off the Abbey Road album. That's how I'd fix that. Joe Strummer. Yeah, Joe Strummer's great. Thoughts on the Melvins? Yeah, they're Melvin-y. Ed McMillan is a huge Melvins fan. Fanned? Like fans Undertale. No, I think they're great. The Melvins and Buzz Osborne and his big hair. Like I like the whole thing, but they just weren't as palatable for me. Like my favorite punk is the Clash and the Buzzcocks. Black Flag. I like a lot of Henry Rollins' stuff too, but the Circle Jerks are great. Anything from the Repo Man soundtrack. So here's something that I'd recommend. If you can find Repo Man movie soundtrack on Spotify, Iggy Pop is on there. Black Flag is on there. Circle Jerks. God. The Plugs. There's more that I can't. Yeah, there's a lot more, but I just want to recommend Repo Man soundtrack. It's not on Spotify entirely. There's a lot of cover versions of those songs. But yeah, they're good. Is What Do You Mean You've Never Seen Blade Runner your favorite Arctic Monkeys lyric? Grab me, pull me in close on a crisp eve, babe, and kiss me underneath the moon's side boob is my favorite Arctic Monkeys lyric. No, it's the Blade Runner one. You're absolutely right. Vinny, do you know Van Dyke Parks? He worked closely with the Beach Boys, amazing artist. He did. He wrote the lyrics to Surf's Up. Was it Surf's Up? No. He wrote the lyrics to... So on the album Surf's Up, there's a song that had a troubled history. It's amazing, and I can't think of the name of it because I'm a fake fan. It's called Surf's Up. It is called Surf's Up. Yeah, so yeah, that's the song he wrote, lyrics, and it's great. If you want to hear really like some amazing Beach Boys that's totally, totally underrated that you wouldn't expect, listen to Till I Die and Surf's Up, both on that album. So, yeah, they're great Beach Boys. And again, a band that you would not expect. Like a lot of Pet Sounds can make me cry too. Listen to Crumb. I've listened to some Crumb, not the new album, but I've listened to the stuff that Spotify showed me and I liked all of it. My favorite Lennon Claypool is probably Monolith of Phobos still. least favorite Beatles song other than Maxwell's Silver Hammer. I'm going to say the Beatles have a lot of shit songs because they also have a fuckload of songs. I think if we're going to go like least favorites, I could get you something from maybe the first couple albums, like Boys. Maybe I can get you something from... Shit. That's a tough one. Yellow Submarine? No, they're pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Maxwell is pretty bad. I don't... Maybe there's a couple songs from the early albums that I don't like. Some of the covers. Wild Honey Pie? Yeah. You know what? You're right. The White Album has a couple not great... I mean, Revolution Number 9 is a collage of sound. So it's... I mean, is it a song? That's up to you to decide. I don't know. I don't really like that. I don't like Wild Honey Pie very much. Three more questions. I can't believe I'm still doing this. What did you think about Tom York's solo albums? I like Tom York's solo albums a lot more than I thought I would. Anima is great, the most recent one. Tomorrow's Modern Boxes is surprisingly good, even though it's a lot of beep boop. And the Eraser is, yeah, I mean, it's like he's got a style. And I haven't heard all of the Suspiria soundtrack, but he's good. Yeah, Tom York is great. What did you think of Tom Petty? I like Tom Petty because Tom Petty didn't chase trends. Tom Petty was the best at being Tom Petty in the world. And his albums were so fucking consistent up until pretty much his last album. Damn the Torpedoes is amazing. The first album is amazing. And then he's got like a solo album that's like kind of like, so there's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and then he did a solo album which is just under Tom Petty. And there was like a good song on there. You Don't Know How It Feels. That's on his solo album, which is, it makes no sense. But yeah, no, he's great. And, you know, he's missed. I wish I could have seen him live. And he was in the Traveling Wilburys. Okay, Beatles fans, I want to recommend something for you. This will be the last thing I discuss tonight. Is a little band called the Traveling Wilburys. And I'm going to leave you with a video of the Traveling Wilburys, in fact. Because they're something that when I discovered them, I loved them very much. They are a band, a supergroup. George Harrison, Roy Orbison, Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, Jeff Lynne from ELO. And the joke of the Traveling Wilburys is what they would do is they would, and this is the late 80s they started, they would add like a lot of different stuff to the songs, and they would always joke, we'll bury it in the mix. Just put it real low, you know, so we'll bury it. Wilburys. Traveling Wilburys. We'll bury it in the mix. I don't know. I get a kick out of that because I'm lame. But I enjoy their music a lot. They had, they did a Blood Bagel before Blood Bagel. What I mean by that is they have only 2 albums. It is the Traveling Wilburys Volume 1 and the Traveling Wilburys Volume 3. There was no Volume 2. So they did that, and it worked out pretty well. Yeah, so I want to recommend them, and the song Handle With Care is probably the one that you might know. But yeah, let me just show you, let me download the video and show it to you. This is my favorite Traveling Wilbury song. I think most people, why can't I download this? Well, I'll just talk a little bit and fill some time. Download YouTube video. That's what I'll do. You know, I'm filling time by talking. And again, for anyone wondering or anyone just joining, I did go to Comic-Con today. I had a good time. And I have videos and stories that I will tell you on stream soon. But thank you for joining me for music discussion. This was a lot of fun. I hope I answered most of your questions. I hope Now, at least, if people have music questions, I can direct them to this. And maybe one day we can do a part two. I don't mind answering what's your favorite album, what's your favorite song. But, I get a lot of that. So I figured this will help. And thank you. I'm glad people want to know what I think about this stuff. That's really nice. And I really like that people have interest in both my music and my opinions on music. That's something that means a lot to me. And the fact that there's, people that maybe can find a band through the stuff that I play during breaks. Or, Vinny, what's a band like Red Vox that I can listen to? That's good. That's feel good. So please continue to do that. And anyway, I hope you enjoy this song because it's fun. And unfortunately, Roy Orbison, who was just this amazing singer, he died around the time the first album had just come out. So he was in the first music video for the Traveling Wilburys, but I think this was the second or third, I'm not sure. But Roy is not in this because he had passed away. So the rest of the guys do a little tribute to him. Anyway, if this gets claimed, then you won't see this. So you can just YouTube Traveling Wilburys, end of the line. Otherwise, enjoy. Thank you for joining me tonight, everybody. See you soon.